Hi everyone, I'm here to talk about your pattern assignment, and this one is for the group lines. So we're gonna start with Charlene. I already read the note you left for your fourth pattern, so I'll keep that in mind when reviewing your work. So we have the half drop. I think this one is so fun. Like I almost can see this as like tiny illustrations, but made graphic. So I really appreciate the variety in these shapes. And also like I wish you'd almost tilted all of them. Like I kind of wish these were like tilted in a more fun way, just like these are, and this one as well. I can definitely see this in color. That would be so much fun. Plan pattern. I guess this one's the grid one. I like how fun all of your shapes are. Like you definitely understand the concept of like graphic and how to use non-representative shapes, like not super representative shapes on a pattern. Like I can tell that this comes from the egg beater and some other tool, but it's not so obvious to the viewer that they're super attached to that idea. They're more focused on the pattern. So I think this works really well here. I love these triangles. They're so sweet and the way that it's like really graphic and really nicely done. That's what I mean when I say sweet. Marimekko inspired. Nice. I like the scale of these. I almost wish these were big and these maybe like were a little bit more varied in scale. That would be nice. Not all of them in the same shape, in the same size, but maybe some big, some small. That would have added a lot more dimension to it. Radial. This is a nice take. I haven't seen one like this, and it definitely reads as like this type of movement. So that's something that works. I would say I almost don't like this shape just because of how complex the other ones are. So maybe just adding a little cutout to this one so it fit more the aesthetic of the rest would make more sense. I mean, I guess you kept that one to sort of keep the radial thing going, but I think you can make it work and make it a little bit more complex. Letters. This one's nice. I think these here touch a little bit in an awkward way, while these are kind of like floating and these also touch. So maybe stick to one and, keep that going because we are talking about pattern and repetition. So you want to be consistent to some degree. Like if you had these and then these, it would make sense, but these are like almost floating in the middle. So yeah, make them interact sort of in like the same behavior, so it like at the end your pattern and your tile is like more consistent. But I love like the shapes that you have going on. And this one, you said you were like doodling, like sketching different shapes, and you actually ended up liking the cutouts. I think these illustrations are so sweet. Like I can definitely see how you could see this on an apron or like just like something wearable. I'm curious to see what Susie would think about this one in terms of like, because that's like it's jumping a little bit out of the assignment, but I personally really enjoy it. I mean, you are creating a pattern. So I really appreciate, I like how like you're tilting all of them as well. That's really fun. It adds a lot of movement. But again, like I really like your illustrations. They're super sweet. And I think they work really well, even if it's just in black and white. So I appreciate that you did this. Thank you, Charlene. It was great work. Now we're gonna talk about Lawrence. Have the grid one. This one's nice. I almost wish it were a little bit less literal with it, like a little bit less representative. Because I can, this almost feels like like a drawing of an egg beater, and I believe like Susie just wants you to be inspired by it and like by its like take maybe some shapes, but like not actually portray just the egg beater on its own, like, oh, here's an egg beater. So I think that's something to think about. Just like maybe take just some shapes that you enjoy, you know, like maybe you like this little squiggly thing and that's why you blow up at the end in your pattern, or like maybe you like this little part over here that almost looks like a cherry. So think about like breaking down shapes so you don't end up being too literal or too much too much representation, because that can like distract from the pattern itself, and that's what we're not trying to do. This one I thought it only works because of your documentation. Like if all of these are black papers, but because of the light, some of them look lighter than the others, or maybe you use two colored papers, which I don't think you were allowed to do, but let's just pretend they're all black and they're all layered against each other. If this was well documented, like well scanned, it would not work because it would just be a big blob. And I think we need to talk with you about documentation. Like these images are just not at this point in the course what we're expecting to see. Like I think you need to either scan them with your phone or like with an actual scanner, or just find a better setup for you to take pictures, because your black paper is coming out like brown, and we want to see your design work for what it is and not get distracted by these little photographic documentative elements. So try to find a better way to document your work, because I believe if this was properly documented, it wouldn't work because you wouldn't see the overlapping. And I see what you're trying to do, but if I think with the limitations that you have with the black and white paper, you should have had like little spacings between them, not overlap them, because it wouldn't work because they're not the same color. Right now it works because of the lighting that you have going on, or because you just use different color papers, but that was, you know, that's not allowed. So, but yeah, again, just be careful when documenting your work. If you have any more questions about it, just send me a message, I can help you. But I think like you don't want that part of the assignment set you back from all your hard work, because these are beautiful. I mean, this one's like it's a beautiful pattern that I can definitely see tiled, and like I love how delicate it is, but I almost have to squint to see it really in black and white. And trust me, when I squint, it looks freaking awesome. But now I'm looking at this image and like I'm just getting super distracted by the quality of the image. So yeah, just try to better document it. Trust me, it will really, really benefit you. This one, I like this little blob shape going on. I almost wish these were a little bit less similar in weight to the shapes. Like if this was a little bit thinner, it would help contrast even better. Same thing with this one. I think these lines, or either this could have been more aggressive, because now it's just sort of like a similar weight. So if the lines were a little bit thinner, or if the big blobs were a little bit thicker and you only had like one or two, it would have been more successful. This one is fun. It almost feels like a little game with letters. I appreciate this one and how not predictable it is. I like the positioning of them. But yeah, again, for all of them, I would say you need to really work on your documentation. I would encourage you to go through your classmates' folders and see how they're documenting, because everyone seems to have this pretty much nailed. But yeah, please, please, please. I don't know if this has been only this week or previous weeks as well, but from what I'm seeing, I think you need to document this better so it's like more black and white and more graphic, and I focus less on, you know, the quality of the image and the lighting. But thank you, Lauren. Great work. Now we're gonna go to Lawrence. See, and if Lauren, if you're watching right now, still, this would be a really good example of documentation. You can really see the black and the white coming through. So I would encourage you to, send me a message or just read through the submitting your work page on Canvas. I've explained how to properly document your work. But yeah, sorry, Lawrence, for deviating from your critique. This one is so nice. I really enjoy this white space I have going on here. I think it really helps to draw focus to these sweet shapes over here. This one is nice as well. It reminds me of like a wall full of frames. And I like how not perfect the squares are. Like this one, I almost like it even more, the fact that it's not perfect. So I really, really enjoy that and encourage you to keep doing that. Yeah, it just adds more movement and a little bit more personality to the shapes. Ooh, I really, really like this one. I haven't seen this at all. It looks like little foots, but I'm assuming you were inspired by that little part of the egg beater, like that handle. I love that so much. I think that's like a perfect example of like how to use the egg beater to just as inspiration, and not take it so literal. Yeah, and you made like awesome cutouts. Like, wow, that's a lot of patience getting every single one. Great pattern. Works awesome. Did anything change between these two? Oh, I think it's just repeated. This one, research based. Okay, Marimekko inspired. Nice. I think just because the shapes are so blobby, if that makes sense, I would encourage you to like separate them a little bit, just because they're a little bit too clumped together. Like I think the spacing between these two is really nice. These three are really nice. So I think over here it gets a little bit too crowded, but overall I really like the motif. I think this one is my favorite. I like this one a lot because it's a lot less flowery and like representative or literal than this one. Like this one could be a flower, but could also be like just a random blob. I appreciate that. Ooh, this is on fabric. Oh, the actual Marimekko flower. Nice, really nice transition. I almost thought you did this. Pardon my ignorance. Great. Again, I think I already critiqued on someone saying this exact comment, but it reminds me of like a soup with like letters floating on it, which is making me hungry. But I really like that. G. I think for the E, I know it's really hard to cut out something like this, but I think cleaning this up a little bit would make me appreciate the pattern even more. But again, I love how unpredictable it is, and I love the shift in weight between this and this shape. Great work, Lawrence. I think we already saw all of it. Yes. Now we're gonna talk about Mira. Ooh, this is great documentation. I love this one. It almost looks like, I don't know. It looks like a purse pattern that you would see, like a monogram or something. Almost reminds me of like the Dior pattern. That's really nice. Awesome pattern. I love how these are like hanging out almost alone. It's a nice change and like contributes to being unpredictable. Love these shapes, these little tails. Whoa, so clean and crisp. I'm like, oh, sorry about the zoom in, but like, damn, that's such a clean cut. Like this literally looks like it was made on computer. That is so nice. I mean, I really appreciate it. As much as basic as it is, I think just your execution and your craftsmanship really just makes me appreciate it. Who doesn't love a checkerboard, right? I'm almost like amazed how perfect it is. Thank you so much for spending so much time. This one is really nice and clean too. Oh, it's so satisfying. I really like how you went outside of the lines. Like you just really went out. I mean, it still looks like this has a line anyway because of how perfect it is. But yeah, super clean. The spacing is perfect. It looks like you like perfect patterns, which, you know, same. So good job. I like how you steered away from basic shapes like the other ones to this one, and you try to experiment something new. It almost looks like clouds. And I like this effect over here with the, like you made a square. That's so nice. It almost looks like it's computerized. But yeah, this is a great effect that you created here, and like great play on negative and positive space. This one, there's so much going on. I almost wish this circle behind didn't exist if it's a circle, like this one I'm talking about, because it like it makes me not appreciate the flower. So I think that's an element that you can just scratch and just leave the flower there. But that's awesome. I mean, really complex, and really appreciate how much time you took to cut all of these out. Great work and awesome documentation. Look how nice these look. Thank you, Mara, and thank you guys for such great work this week.